So hi, everybody. I'm Ayla. If you don't know me, I'm the president and founder of Cave Bear here. We are a nonprofit that's dedicated to supporting unfunded indie development studios and people like you who want to get started in the games industry. We have over 200 studios as part of our kind of collective, and then thousands of the rest of you guys who are here for the ride to join these studios, to learn about the games industry, to join the games industry, all of that fun stuff. And part of being a nonprofit is trying to find collaborations with other entities, people, corporations, companies that kind of share our same values and also help benefit either you or the studios within our program. And I'm really happy to announce our very first collaboration as a nonprofit, which is with Playful out here in New Zealand. So I'm in New Zealand as of about a year ago. And I met Playful not terribly long after that, after I moved here, and have been talking with them since, and more recently have started this collaboration. So playtesting, and I'll let them kind of introduce themselves in a minute, but Playful is a playtesting company. They connect studios to matched professional playtesters, like possibly you guys in the audience, because playtest is important. We know QA is important, but playtesting is different, and it's just as important. So we are here to kind of talk about that, what that means, why it's important, and how to possibly get you guys as paid playtesters. So yes, we have Jeremy here. Hi, Jeremy. Jeremy is the founder of Playful. And then we have Raven, who is helping with the public playtesting stuff. So Jeremy, can you give us a little introduction?
Yeah, kia ora, guys. Welcome. I think I want to kick off by just, again, sort of emulating some of Ayla's thoughts. Big thank you to KB for putting on this event today and hosting it. It's great to partner with a company that has a community that is dedicated to helping the industry, which is sort of what we're trying to do in our part. The session today is intended to be informal, hopefully conversational, and we'll open up some time at the tail end of it for questions and hopefully some inspiring answers. I guess from an introduction standpoint, as Ayla said, I'm the founder of Playful. We've been running since September last year, so we're relatively new to the space from a playtesting standpoint. You may have read that where I am now wasn't the first attempt to get into the industry. I actually tried multiple times and I have a firm foothold now, so don't intend on leaving, because I find that the industry is actually one of the most creative that I've actually worked in, which is super exciting. We built Playful off the back of our own VR experience, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then we jumped tracks really to sort of follow up the playtesting side of things, again based on our experience and recognizing that there was a real lack of support in this space. So I guess that's a little bit about me. I'll probably hand over to Raven and she can introduce herself.
Hello, Raven. I'm going to manage the playtester side of Playful. So from registrations to playtest call-outs, you'll probably hear from me. So my industry journey in gaming started when I worked with Jeremy, so a few years ago, and delivering a VR game, Colorway Antics, which you'll hear about. Yeah, I want to say my journey of games really started when I started playing Flash games as a kid, and it just grew from there.
Me too. Were you ever a Neopets girl? Because I was.
No, I was in like the Omits, the 2-player on one keyboard, usually with my brother.
That's funny. Yeah. I get you. I loved, obviously Neopets is known for the Flash games, and they're still kicking around. They're still around. Yeah, Neopets is great. Yes, so thank you guys for being here today. Super excited to be here. Super excited to talk more about playtesting and Playful. Like Jeremy said, this is not his first attempt into the industry. I think we can all relate with that in some way. He did try a few times throughout his long career now in tech, and we're glad you finally made it. We're happy to have you here. So yeah, you can honestly, Jeremy or Raven, you can go forward in the slides a little bit. I know you have a couple of things that we could probably start with on the first couple of slides, just like the agenda and stuff. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what is Playful, obviously, why playtesting matters, opportunities to get involved, playtesting myths, and then we're going to do questions.
Okay, so probably the first place to start, if you want to jump onto the next slide, Raven, is just give you a little bit about who we are. I guess officially, the official tagline is that we are developers that built a service to support other developers. We partner with studios that in turn take player behavior and turn that into confident development decisions. We focus on engaging real players. which is really important to us, that represents the intended audience of that studio. The goal, or the intent of us, is actually to balance two sides of the same coin. We think the studios and the developer side of things is just as important as the playtester side of things, and we're sort of investing equal effort into both of those things. Overall, through the playtest, what we can offer studios is the ability to make informed decisions, which is really important in this day and age, particularly now in the last couple of years, where the spotlight or the focus from publishers and funders is just growing, monthly. Seeing that early playtester validation is becoming an absolute critical part of delivery, more so than it has in previous years, where most studios can get away with getting that player validation after the vertical slice. Actually, the demand is looking for player validation as early as or as part of that vertical slice development component. So the game sort of really changed in terms of opening the door and letting players in, and for studios to actually stop and listen, which is, like I said, becoming really, really important. The other side of that coin is the players themselves. We decided very early on that we weren't just going to create a sign up with where we could have just nameless thousands of people. We didn't think that actually offered the sort of service that we wanted and the support that we could give. So we are in the process of developing a framework that looks to work with playtesters in the first instance, make sure that they're contributing the sort of level that studios need before they sort of cross that threshold into being eligible for paid gigs. So that way we're making sure we sort of balance both sides of the coin. But along the way, we can support that with developing playtesting skills. And obviously, Playful in itself is developing its own community of passionate gamers, various interests and various initiatives that are going to feed into providing early access or sneak previews of games that are yet to be published.
I want to talk a little bit about why this partnership exists. You'll start to see, hopefully, as we continue being a nonprofit and move forward towards our mission and our goals, that we will likely have more collaborations. And what I think is most important when it comes to, hey, what collaborations do I want to make and have is, again, that shared values and then also how it's helping the community. So for this collaboration specifically, the main driving factor is the shared values. You've heard from Jeremy about how this is his third desperate attempt to get into the industry, very similar to us in our community, very relatable. And it's also just his kind of way of making Playful and building Playful. Playful is committed to the indie scene specifically. There are other, obviously, playtesting services that are similar that exist out in the world, but I have found that they, for the most part, are very inaccessible to indie studios. And so we are a community, a collective of over 200 indie studios. And so it's very important to me that, we have accessible services to help you guys in your game development. Obviously, you guys here, most of you here are more interested in becoming a playtester yourself. We will have another event in, I think, a couple of weeks with the partner studios. So if you're part of a partner studio in this, I see a couple of you, keep an eye out for that event that we haven't announced yet, technically, in a couple of weeks to talk about what it means, what it means for Playful and the partner studios. But for the playtesters as well, I thought it was really, really awesome that first of all, they pay you. That's very cool. And we'll talk again more about exactly how that works. So that's cool. Always, it's obviously a really difficult industry right now, really difficult job market. So anything helps. This is obviously not going to be a situation where you can play test full time, but just a little extra money in your pocket, hopefully for, a night out or something like that. But also the idea that they are connecting you with games that you truly want to play, that you are the target audience for. And that makes it all the more fun. You're not just playing games that are boring and a slag. You're playing games that are truly interesting to you. So I take the partnerships very seriously. I want them to be true benefits to our community. And I do believe that is the case here. So really excited to have you guys. Continue, please. Sorry.
So I guess our journey sort of started with our own development. A few years back, we were able to convert our own VR skills, corporate VR skills, and convince the powers be to actually create our first VR title. Through that, like most small teams, we wore many hats and we learned a lot, both during and after the launch, all the things that we should have done, could have done, and will be doing in future projects. One of the things that we struggled with was playtesting. The amount of time that it takes is sometimes quite significant to maintain a program, but also in terms of finding people that fit your needs and in a timely manner that fits your development schedule. So, getting that feedback ended up being one of our biggest challenges. Because we're sort of part of the various processes here in New Zealand, one of the things that we heard a lot was, playtest, sort of generally sort of underlined with your friends and family aren't your playtesters. And I think that, as you'll probably realise, that's completely true. They're good for feedback, but more often not, your mum's going to pat you on your back and say, good job, that's wonderful. What you actually need is real feedback. And so we sort of learned that the hard way. But we also realised, alluding to what Ayla said, is there wasn't any service really geared for indie studios, for small studios. Most of the studios operate at a different stratosphere. They are really geared up for AAAs, or double A's that are already sort of pumping with their titles or have a backlog and are able to actually contribute. Most of those already have their own internal resource to be able to do it. As a small studio like ours, we had no resource. We had to put on another hat and figure it out. And, it's something that when we went live, we decided was a real gap in this space. Sort of out of that was sort of born Playful for the most part. So I guess where we are, and before I sort of hand over to Raven, is we are relatively new, but we're working pretty hard to get some runs on the board. We've already got quite a lot of interest from studios globally, which is super exciting. Interest from different corners that we haven't even started exploring yet, which is really cool. We're mainly focusing on Australasia for studios, and that's primarily just so that we can get our process right before we scale. The plan is to approach the global market at the end of the year, but that's for studios. For playtesters, we want them globally. The more eclectic, the more experienced or less experienced, we recognise that it takes all sorts of gamers in order to be able to meet the needs of studios. So globally, we're starting to sort of push the word out and starting to build up our community.
Yeah, one of the reasons, obviously, you guys reached out to us initially was because of the fact that we do have a global community.
Yes.
And I know just based on our time zone conversation earlier, we are already seeing that here in this. But I would love if everyone could just if you're comfortable, putting your country in the chat. I would love to see what kind of spread we have. Obviously, I'm in New Zealand, Jeremy's in New Zealand, Robin is in Australia. But I think we have some pretty good...
Ireland, yeah. Palestine, that's awesome.
Palestine, that's sick, dude.
That's
welcome.
Super awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, look at that. Obviously, a bunch of United States. I'm not surprised at all about that. Egypt, Canada, Ireland, Portugal. I think that's a UK flag. I honestly don't know. Chile, very cool.
Chile.
Wow.
Very cool. Thanks for doing that, guys. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think that's exactly what studios are looking for, is they're looking for players globally. Some studios targeting specific areas. We're talking with a studio in Australia at the moment where their titles only go to the US and are very targeted in terms of their audience. So the more broader, the more experienced or eclectic our community is, the better we're able to actually support studios. And as Ayla sort of pointed out, you won't get spammed with every game under the sun. Part of the onboarding process, you tell us what you play, where you spend your time, and we'll look to match your games for the most part with the stuff that you already have experience in. And I say for the most part is that there are some studios that just want general public. I don't care what they play, we just want people to experience it because we're looking at the first time user experience, and so therefore it doesn't really matter whether they have 10,000 hours in a shooter or 100 hours in a puzzle game. Those requirements do actually change. So where we are now is sort of trying to build up our community. We are starting to put feelers out globally, where we will be at Gamescom in August. So if anyone's there and wants to tap me on the shoulder, I'd love to meet people. And that's really an opportunity for us to start that global conversation. We already have a UK publisher interested, and I'm hoping that this will just start to snowball in the general interest. And I think it's largely because we're doing things slightly different, which is probably the perfect time to hand over to Raven, who can start to tell you a little bit more about the actual playtester experience as a whole.
So playtesting and QA, while there are some similarities, it's not quite the same. QA is usually more into finding technical issues like bugs and glitches, whereas playtesting is just more about experiencing the game as a gamer. So you're playing and giving feedback on whether the game is fun and just your overall experience as playing it yourself. And it's for studios to learn whether their intents match the player experience. We all know that developing a game is complex, and as some of you are devs, you know your product inside and out. And sometimes when you're too close to it, it can be difficult to analyze whether what you've built resonates well with your audience. And we definitely found the same thing with Colorway. We have things where we're like, no, this is so cool, everyone will enjoy it. And then you playtest it and no one really cares. And so with playtesting, devs can get first-hand feedback on whether the tutorial is being understood by the players, whether the progression is clear, the mechanics are enjoyable, and if the difficulty scales appropriately. In our previous discussions with some of the devs, they've shared how playtesting sessions have helped them to introduce an easy mode for their game, and some as well have improved their tutorial so that they can onboard gamers better. When you share your feedback as a playtester, the devs can learn more about your behavior and find avenues to improve their game.
Can I just jump in there? I'll give you a real recent example. We've recently done a test on a title that's going live next month. For the longest time, the dev thought the camera controls were just absolutely mint until he started getting voluminous feedback. The feedback surprised him, and clearly with a month or 6 weeks out from launch, set him into high gear to fix it. But he didn't realize the problems because he didn't have all of that feedback. So, just that one little tidbit from the analysis, it definitely gave me the warm and fuzzies, was received really well, which just underpins the importance of playtesters.
So we just have a couple quick questions for the audience, just to know where you guys are at with, if you've done playtesting before. We'll just give you a couple seconds.
Heck yeah, look at that beautiful poll. Good job, Rija. I think this might be our first time using like an official Discord poll in one of our events. I clicked a few times because I was part of the Fantastic Pixel Castle playtest. That was fun, but then they closed, so that was a bummer. And then I did do a playtest with Playful very recently with my husband, a co-op. It was very fun. Okay, we're honestly, it's like almost evenly spread. Playtesting for college as a tutor, neat. You playtest weekly on all new features, yeah. But I feel like doesn't that come into the whole issue of like you're too close to the project and it's hard to see what a player would actually think. Is getting into a beta test? Yeah, definitely. Those are play tests.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I remember, back in the day, I played the Minecraft beta.
Oh wow!
I think my brother downloaded it. I didn't even know. I just did it. Always wanted to. Well, do we have an opportunity for you? You play as Marvel Rivals? That's very cool. Oh, keywords QA. Yeah.
Oh, Maple Story.
Maple Story? That's sick, dude.
Maple Story.
Deadlock, nice. My kids that are technically play testing that at the moment every day. That's cool.
They're coming out, like with a new one, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's
They've
cool.
done a good job.
That's cool. If we're counting Deadlock, I play test every day. You and my husband. Because apparently Deadlock's in a beta. My husband keeps saying it's in an alpha. I don't know if I believe him. I just haven't confirmed or denied it myself. It just seems way too polished to be an alpha. But he has, I think, hundreds of hours at this point in Deadlock. It's ridiculous. Oh, yay. I'm so glad to hear that, Ken. Yay. Okay, I think does playing Star Citizen count? I don't know. I don't know what that is.
I think it's been in beta then for 10 years?
Oh. Yeah, Valve just gets to be Valve. Valve is crazy.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's so cool. Very cool. Well, we have quite some interested people in here, so this is awesome. Thank you for sharing, everybody.
Yeah, it's really
cool. We have like a pretty, if you look at the poll, it's pretty evenly split between often and never and a few times. Once or twice is the main one at 34%. But again, it's pretty an even spread. So I think that's really cool. That's really great. I love a diverse community. Oh, we got more polls. Yay, I love polls. Thank you, Rudija. So what interests you most about playtesting? It's really hard because I love playing games early, but I also like helping developers. But I'll probably be selfish and click playing games early. Again, another pretty good spread. I think the least amount of people care about becoming a better playtester. I mean, is that just becoming, yeah, you do. There is definitely like an art to it. I mean, those of you who have playtested before would know that there is an art to like learning how to vocalize your thought process so that they know what you're thinking. It was when I was doing the co-op playtest through Playful the other day with my husband. I'm obviously a game dev. I kind of know a little bit about playtesting and QA. I know about, that I have to vocalize my thoughts and talk about it. My husband is not as used to that. And so I had to coach him like a little bit beforehand to be like, hey, this is how you do it. This is so they know what's going on in your brain. Because he's bad at that in general.
Yeah. It's great to see that the biggest number there was actually helping developers.
Hell
Which is exactly why Cave Bear and Playful exist.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too.
Really
Just
cool.
Our community,
Yeah.
We are developers, which I hope
really cool.
means we are better playtesters just right out the gate.
Awesome. So what was the majority of that helping developers? Oh, that's nice. I'll move to the next slide. Here at Playful, we've got a couple opportunities where you can be involved in not just playtesting, but other events as well. So majority of our campaigns are solo playtests. And recently, as Ayla mentioned, we ran a co-op playtest where playtesters could invite their friends and family, and they played together as a team in a 3D platformer. As Jeremy mentioned, we're still fairly new, so we've got a couple initiatives that are still in the works, and one of them is a easier way to discover upcoming events, and that's coming soon, and moderated sessions for very early playtesting, and we've got events planned that are exclusive to the Cave Bear community as well. So when you join Playful, you'll be the first to know when that happens.
I can talk a little bit about that. Again, for those of you in the audience who are part of one of our partner studios, you will hear more about this in a couple of weeks. Hang tight. I have an email that I'm sending out to you this week, ideally. So just keep an eye out. But yes, there may be possibilities in the future where a Cave Bear partner studio, playtest their games using exclusively playtesters from the Cave Bear community, you guys. And this kind of is a special situation, which should be very fun to have like an exclusive kind of situation. And so hopefully, obviously, it depends on studios and their resources and stuff like that. But that would be a great way to contribute to the community. But also you can just, if you sign up to be a playtester, you get other opportunities from other studios that are not part of our program.
And we'll just go through a couple playtesting myths as well. You definitely don't need to be an expert or a pro gamer to be a great playtester. You don't need to think like a game dev. The studios just want, and the devs, to understand your experience as their audience. So you don't need to get super technical into all the stuff. And you don't need to be at a certain game level as well. If you're a beginner, then that's great, because then you can still offer valuable insight to the beginner experience to the game. The third myth is learning how to give feedback. As long as you talk aloud about what you enjoyed, what you didn't, and your expectations. Once you've covered those, then you've already given useful feedback. Every gameplay is different, and every feedback matters. So if someone else has already mentioned something you found, then that's great, because then you doubling down means that the insight resonates with many players. And like Jeremy mentioned, the camera thing, lots of people mentioned that, and the dev wouldn't have found that if one person only said it, then it's not going to be as big of an impact to change than if multiple people did.
This myth reminds me of the bystander effect. Are we aware of what that is? I am like weirdly in tune with the bystander effect. I think I learned about it really young. And so I just like really got obsessed with it, which is, people in emergency situations think that someone else will call 911 or something, right? Call emergency services. And so they don't do it themselves. And that is like a real problem that has happened where some people, where situations have happened and no one calls 911 because someone assumes. And so obviously not as serious in a playtesting situation, but still definitely very similar mindset. And especially with playtesting, I feel like there's power in numbers as well. If more people are talking about the same issue that they are having, then that might be a clue to the studio that, hey, this is more serious than maybe you initially think it is. And they will put it higher up in their priority to fix or change or whatever, right? And as someone said, suit up in chat, don't be afraid of someone telling you you're wrong about your experience, because you're not wrong, right? Playtesting specifically is for you. Like you as a playtester cannot do anything wrong because your experience is the whole point, right? It's different from QA in that sense, right? Where there is no right or wrong. And QA doesn't have much right or wrong either, but you're very open and honest about your experience. That is what they want.
And so what happens after you sign up? We'll provide you with a special link to sign up at the end. And to those who already have, thank you so much for your support. It's nice seeing all the names come on through. So once you've completed your player profile, then you're fully into our pool of testers. And so when a playtest becomes available, we will send the callouts to your emails. Now, some studios do want specific games to a genre or anything like that. And so when they ask for it, then the players that match their specific needs those are the only ones that will get the call out. Typically, our playtests run over 2 to 3 days on the weekend. And so for every playtest, we ask playtesters to record their gameplay and answer a post-playtest survey. And so for every playtest, as long as you talk out loud, explain your decisions, stay curious, then you've already helped devs and their studios to improve their games.
I was going to say, just to add to that, we do, as part of the sign-up onboarding process, ask for quite a bit of information. We want to know a little bit about you and your gaming habits. That allows us to match you more succinctly with studios downstream. None of that information is shared. It's entirely used internally. Even when we do share data with studios, people aren't referenced at all, period. It's where we work very hard to make sure that we keep all our playtesters anonymous as we sort of work here. Because of the testing itself, we provide lots of layers of analysis. There is quite a few questions involved. We like to learn what type of player you are, whether you like, you're very goal orientated, or you like very story driven experiences. Obviously, we like to know what genres you like to spend time in, and an indication of how experienced you are in those genres. And it doesn't matter whether you're a 10,000 hour on some genres, or you've only got a couple of hundred hours. The outcome is still the same. It's quite valuable because, like I said, studios are after different things. We had a request the other day as probably the most detailed audience requirement we've received to date, where they had actually chopped up their audience into 3 different tiers, and each tier was looking specifically as players on certain titles. And they had 3 tiers, and each tier only had about 2 or 3 games. So they had their target audience honed to the minutiae. But that's not always the case. Some studios are slightly more broader in terms of what they're after. But yeah, don't be surprised. We do ask so that we can learn, and then we provide a segmentation report, which provides a bit of a breakdown on who's played their game, where are they from, how many hours, what genres they like, in order to provide them a sort of a more detailed analysis of the overarching player base.
I want to a little bit go over my experience because part of this partnership, I wanted to know what you guys would be going into. And so I did the whole playtesting process myself to be aware of it, be able to talk about it with you guys. We need first to start at their website. So I'm going to put that in the chat really quick. It's beplayful.gg. And when I signed up the other day, for me personally, didn't seem like too much. I was fine with the sign up process. Yeah, for me as well, I found it relatively simple. There was the longest part was definitely the form of filling out what games I like and how many hours I played those games, those types of games, which I did guess. I'm going to be real with you. I guess, because who knows how many hundreds of hours I have played survival games, right? But that's my most played genre, right? So yeah, it was pretty fast and simple. Thank you for everyone in the chat who's already done this to putting your thoughts on that as well. If you just go on the website, click that link, there is a playtester section. You just can hover over that and click join Playful, and that kind of starts you on the process. It's been a little bit, so excuse me if I'm like minorly wrong on the various details, but yeah, you just sign up, you tell them your information, what games you like, and then you kind of just wait for them to contact you about a game that you might like to playtest. There is a code option, very important. Thank you, Caffeine, for saying that. We have a code. Cave Bear has a code. So our code is Cave Bear, all caps, no spaces. I put that in chat as well. And that's important. At what point, I don't quite remember, at what point in the sign up process, Jeremy and Raven, does Cave Bear, the code, show up?
Added it now to the start.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've also the link we're providing at the tail end will also pre-populate that link, so no one has to find out where the box is.
I should probably use that link. So we have a link that'll help you put you right in the right category already, but also if it asks you for a code, put Cave Bear, and that's important. It doesn't give you any necessarily different benefits as like the next playtester, but it does mark you as one of our community. And so when we do those community events, right, that we talked about very briefly, we will then be able to see which of these playtesters are from Cave Bear, say, we have a Cave Bear studio that is playtesting. You as a Cave Bear community member, do you want to playtest this? So that's important. Be sure to use the code. Someone is asking, can they edit their submission? They didn't use the code. How can they fix that?
We don't have editing at the moment, but I'm sure Raven's keen eyes will take note of the name and we'll adjust it and put the code in there.
Yeah. So let me know.
There are a couple of questions that'll probably let us know that you are from Cave Bear. There's like the referral ones. So I'll just tag you myself.
Yes. So just let either me know personally or message Jeremy or Raven, personally to add that. For some people, I saw that they got like an email after they signed up, and that's where they were able to put the code.
It depends on the entry points. If you go from the main website, it's a slightly different experience to what we're going to be offering in Cave Bear today.
Yeah.
So depending on where you start, you may end up getting one additional step as part of the process. Today's one will be slightly more streamlined, the link that we're going to provide.
So for those of you asking what the form is to sign up, how to sign up, there's a link that's going to go into the chat very soon. Oh, there it is. So beplayful.gg, hello Cave Bear.
Yeah, well, while we're typing the link in, we are looking at building a sort of a portal. In due course, before the end of the year, we're going to launch that, which will allow you to edit your own profile. Don't stress over the number of hours. It's finger in the air. We're definitely not going to be hunting everyone if they've only done 999 hours and not 1,000. So it's not really that important. What we're using that estimate is as a gauge to gauge in terms of your experience. How exposed are you to that genre? It's not necessarily that we're looking for specific hours. That'll never be the case. And in due course, if you end up clocking, at the end of the year, another 1,000 hours on your favorite genre, you can always go in and update it. And, at some stage, we hope for the super experience to be pulled into some game testing. So, don't stress over it too much.
Yeah.
We did last year when we launched, there was one person registering, and I think they spent 5 or 10 minutes on the registration form. And when we tapped them on the shoulder, said, "Is everything okay?" They said, "I don't know if I've actually done 500 hours on this or 600 hours, and I want to get it right." I said, "Don't worry, it's all good. Split the diff, it's fine."
Yeah.
Don't stress over it, guys.
Just a couple of things. So just to recap, click the link in chat, beplayful.gg/hello Cave Bear. That will automatically, if you go through that link, tell them that you're part of our community. If you use a different link or do it somewhere else, just make sure that you put in the code Cave Bear, all caps, no spaces, into whatever field it requires. If you go through the process, you didn't see a code, you're worried that you weren't marked as Cave Bear community member, just message me directly or Jeremy or Raven personally, and we will make sure that that's good for you. And then also and I saw Nathan ask, what does the code do tangibly? Not a ton. It just marks you in their system as a member of our community. So if we do in the future specific community events or community partnerships, community playtesting with our studios, such as 3 Clips, Nathan, then we will be able to reach out specifically to Cave Bear community members. But other than that, there's not really much difference.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's really important that we're able to use the wider Cave Bear community to support the partner program. And so really, as Ayla said, it's just that link allows us to make that connection to expedite things downstream.
Yes. Can we talk specifically about how it works with paid? Like with the payment, how that works.
We're building the community, and as I mentioned, playtesters are important to the whole process. But we also know that people probably, and I think we've even heard a few comments today that some people haven't done it before, they don't know what they're doing. And it sometimes does take a little while to disconnect from, your technical brain just to the player brain, where you're actually enjoying an experience. So the system that we've sort of set up is that we ask from a commitment from our playtesters for 4 tests. Those 4 tests allows us to review your content, to offer any sort of feedback on making you a better playtester. And then past that 4th game, you become eligible for paid tests. We're in the process of developing a gamified sort of system for our playtesters where there'll be level 1, 2, and 3, reminiscent of so many games we probably play. Level 1 is that initial sort of getting on board. And when you hit level 2, that's when you become eligible for paid gigs. Level 3 and level 4, we haven't quite thought through some of the details around where we can create better, stronger, deeper relationships at that level. But the fundamental, what I can offer is that when you go from 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, you get more money in your pocket. That's our commitment to you because we see that you're giving commitment to us. So that's the base level. What we're looking at doing is developing a program that goes beyond just money and actually is offering maybe some people other opportunities. If we ever get tapped on the shoulder and other from studios that are looking for people, then we could probably look into our tiers of 3s or 4s and make some recommendations. But in the fundamental level, from money in your pocket, as you progress through those levels, we recognise that commitment to us and we increase the rate with regards to each playtest.
Yeah. Like I said in the beginning, this isn't like a full-time job opportunity, right? This is just a little bit of extra money. Go out to dinner, do whatever you want with a little bit of extra money just to kind of help out. Very cool. I don't think I either don't remember or just we haven't talked about the level thing. I think I just don't remember. So that's very cool. I love to hear about that. Is the level guide provided once we are accepted as a tester? You're still working on that, right?
We're still working on it. Because of where we're at, we've got a few level 2s. Most of our community, because we're just starting to gain momentum, are still in the level 1s in that crossover. So we know we've got a little bit of time, but probably in the next couple of months, we will release and promote something to the community.
Is the basic comp for level 1 clearly disclosed?
So level 1 is the community-based, we call them community-based tests. So that's the initial 4. When you become level 2, that's when you start to get payment. And at the moment, what we're looking at is a starting rate of about $10 for level 2, and then we'll increment from there. Yeah, for a session, which is typically an hour, yes. Now, there are some exceptions to that. Some exceptions in and around the community test. We did a test last month, which was 3 hours long. I guess in terms of how we wanted to approach it, we didn't feel it was fair for any of our community to give 3 hours as part of their community test. So we took 1 hour as their community test and paid them for the other 2 hours. So there are some exceptions when studios are looking for specific people where we may actually sort of juggle a few things, but give people some notice as part of the comms onboarding so they can choose to whether they do or don't actually want to be involved in some of those situations that are outside the norm. That's
a good example of, again, one of the reasons why we are partnered with Playful. And to get a little bit personal, I moved to New Zealand a year ago. I'm an American, right? And a lot of you here are American. Businesses over here in New Zealand feel very different to a consumer such as myself than what I'm used to in America. I tend to be a little bit pessimistic when it comes to American businesses. Just my own kind of biased lens. But businesses in New Zealand, because the country is just so small, I feel like everyone just loves each other and understands that people are human beings. And, so again, a lot of the values are the main reason that we have this partnership. So I appreciate you talking about the exceptions. Again, just to be very clear, this is not something that you want to expect a ton of money out of. It is just a little bit of bonus every here and there to do something fun, right? And again, very clear that the first 4 sessions, for the most part, unless there are some exceptions, the first 4 sessions, first 4 hours of playtesting that you do will be unpaid, right? It's a demonstration of the commitment that you have, that you are committed to playtesting with Playful in a quality way. And then after that, you can be paid, right? So just hope that is very clear to everyone. Don't get crazy hopes up.
Just to answer Alp's question, and no, it's not US only. From a playtesting standpoint, we're taking playtesters globally.
Oh, yeah. One of the main reasons Playful is here with us is because we are a global community and they want global people. So yeah, any country is good.
And we've just got one more slide left. Probably a good way to sort of end is that the most valuable phrase in playtesting is I expect it. Your experience as a gamer is valuable, so any assumptions you've got about a genre or gameplay is where the developer's intent and your experience as a player diverge. So when you say I expect it and the experience align or don't align, the devs can learn about gain more clarity, their language in the game, the design intent, and understanding their audience better. And so the good news is that learning to spot and communicating those moments is a skill. And so you can learn. You can, over time, the more you play, the more play testing you do, you can become a better play testers. And so you'll develop skills like better observation, communication, analysis, empathy, and consistency, which are, not just exclusive to play testers. Those are skills as well that you can apply to many other things in life. And so, nobody starts as an expert playtester, and so like any skill, it improves with practice.
Time for questions. I know we have obviously been paying attention to chat, so hopefully we answered a lot of questions already. But questions on what Playful is, their mission, their values, how playtesting works, what it means for you as a community manager, what it means for you as a studio. When it comes to, again, the studios, because I know we have a few in here. Yes. So there's a lot of additional things when it comes to Playful and the studios, but for the playtesters, this is all of our information. So any questions that we can answer now? Are you guys based only in the UK? Are there other countries you have locations at? They are based only in New Zealand. They do not have any other locations, right?
No, that's correct. We are recruiting playtesters globally, so there's no limit on that. And over the next 6 months, we will be starting to increase our conversations with global studios, with probably some big pushes later on in the year. Proper marketing activity sort of slated for the end of the year. But as I mentioned earlier, what we're trying to focus on at the moment is getting it right, making sure the community is there and engaged, making sure our processes bang on, and also developing and polishing our product and our service. We have a bunch of different products which sort of look at the analysis. I think the most recent test, maybe the test that you participated in, Ayla, over that weekend, we generated over 35 hours worth of video. I think it was sort of 4,500 different data points, and I think just shy of 2,000 survey responses. We then went away and crunched all that into something that gave the studio guidance, or the publisher guidance on what was important based on player feedback, as well as a whole lot of other bits and pieces. Ayla was also part of our very first co-op test, which was for us a bit of play testing, where we had actually created a mechanic where our community could invite their friends to play, and so that way we could sort of increase the footprint slightly more and get people to play with other people that they already play with. So we removed that dynamic of awkwardness of playing with someone you don't, or haven't played with before. And so far the feedback's been really positive. And so, pretty excited to sort of push that a little bit further. In the next 3 to 6 months, this is a bit of an announcement, but we are actually launching a new platform called Playful Discover. Effectively, what we're going to do is deliver a website which is going to be designed to beat the algorithm effectively and allow those studios that are just starting off to not be suppressed by that big beast of a Steam algorithm and not actually able to get momentum, and actually look at it in a slightly different way for studios to actually get the word out, and we'll promote and market that website. It'll also give the Playful community early access to titles that have probably not been able to actually get much airtime, and we'll be sort of looking at a program of highlighting some of those lost gems and help them get a little bit of momentum. So we are looking at our community and community engagement in a much broader sense beyond just playtests, but actually look at indie and mid-sized studios, look at other ways that we can help them and sort of give them direction and feedback and involvement or engagement across the board.
Okay, very cool. I did not know about that. So you and I will have to talk more about that because I definitely want to know more. Tess is asking what the process is like for studios to get playtesters involved.
So we have sort of two main methods. Effectively, we take the pain away from the studio. We sit down with the studio, we figure out what they're after, what sort of players they're after, and we go out and find it. And more often than not, we will be able to pull from our community. In some rare cases, like the post that I put out the other day, we're looking for very specific players. And so we will then do the recruitment on behalf of the studio. The studio doesn't need to worry about that. In some other cases where there are studios that already have their own playtester community, we can augment their playtesters into our analysis, and they can just join as part of that process. So we can run hybrid playtester groups, or we can do the recruitment ourselves completely. It really depends on the studio. What we are offering to studios then, regardless of the route that they take, is an independent analysis of their game, which is sort of where the real goal is.
Yeah, so it's not just a bunch of playtesting data. It is also analyzed data. Cool.
Yes. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Very cool.
We don't actually, we offer the video up. Some studios like to have that video as reference and support, but we actually offer them full analysis. And depending on the analysis they go, the last one we produced was a 60-page report. We analyze across 10 development pillars. So everyone's feedback gets sort of analysed for patterns, and then we sort of establish where that belongs in terms of what are they referencing. Then that starts to build up a bit of a picture for the studio about what priorities they should actually be focusing on.
Someone else is asking, how long would we expect to hear back after sending in our info as a playtester?
At the moment, we're operating at about 8 to 10 days from start to finish, although that's got a little bit of a caveat, which we found in the co-op recruitment, that we probably needed more time for the co-op. We got that first set of volunteers really, really fast, but the second where their friends were involved, it was a slightly stilted process where the friends didn't have the same priority. So from a recruitment standpoint, that's probably where we'll ask the most time. The actual analysis, the gameplay, we're running over 3 days. Typically, that is done on the weekend. It doesn't have to be done on the weekend, but most of them just seem to be falling that way at the moment. And the analysis, we're generally doing that in about 3 days. So in total, it's about 10 days, 8 to 10 days. We're looking at bringing that down. We're hoping in the next 6 months and before we go global that we're going to bring it closer to about 6 to 7 days worth of turnaround from start to finish, subject to recruitment.
Based on my experience, it's not like a job application where you put it in and you're waiting to hear if you're accepted or not. I think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's more like, oh, you have signed up. You are in our system. When we have a game for you, we will reach out. So it's more of just keeping an eye on your email, I assume, and making sure that you don't miss an email from Playful that has an invitation for you. So yeah, again, you're not at a risk of being rejected here. It's not a job application. It is just signing up to say, hey, I am interested in this. Here are the games that I like. And then they will reach out to you when they have a game for you. As far as, again, my experience with the one co-op playtest that I did, they send you a email that has all the information that you need. I got specifically with this playtest a Steam code that I had to then redeem in Steam. And then I invited my husband to play via I don't know what Discord calls it. Remote play. Yes, thank you. Remote play. So he didn't have to do a code. It was just me. And then we did record our session. We each recorded our session. Again, that was a co-op. I recorded it on OBS. That's what I use. That was another question that we had is you mentioned that we have to record our playtesting. Is that done through a Zoom call or do we have to record it ourselves? You do have to record it yourselves unless I'm missing something.
No. We provide all the instructions for those who haven't used OBS before. It's pretty simple to drive, but we provide all those instructions. They may change from time to time as we get better at telling or providing better instructions, but it's, for the most part, it's pretty straightforward. You only record your session. You don't record game audio. You don't record other people's audio if you're in the co-op session, and your video standalone is then used as part of the analysis as a whole.
It's just your video, your game, your screen game, as well as your vocal audio. You don't have to record your face.
No, not at all. So we'll match the audio with the gameplay. So your facial recording is not needed at all.
Cool.
Yeah, just a question that Ken had was with struggling at getting people with free time. I think that's absolutely right. I think there's two things just to answer off the back of that. One is we tend to run it over 3 days, but we also realise that sometimes life gets in the way. Someone will put their hand up, they'll volunteer, and they can't make the event. So we actually run a separate program behind the scenes called Extra Life. The Extra Life program is designed primarily to allow players to get their community tests out the way as soon as possible. But we also have a sort of a support mechanic, whereas if someone falls out on an actual test, we're able to use an Extra Life person on that test. So in most cases, we can push through a lot more people and get people through those community tests much, much faster. So for the most part, we haven't actually run across a real struggle on not getting enough people because we have enough mechanics in place that if someone, if life gets in the way, their connection gets cut off for whatever reason, or, the kids need to be fed whatever it is, then we've actually got, we don't penalise people for that. That's just the way things are. And we think we have enough systems in place to be able to support both modes.
Very cool. The next one is how often are playtests expected to happen? And then by extension, how long do you estimate it will take to hit that 4 playtests so that we can go on to level 2?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a tough one, only because we're just starting to ramp up our engagement with studios now. So we've been very select over the last few months, making sure we get the systems right, the analysis right. So we're just on the cusp of pushing really hard. Next month, I'm expecting 2 to 3 playtests, and then I'm expecting that to grow over the months. Where it becomes challenging is that those playtests may not be in genres that actually people want to play. So the mechanics are, we'll look at recruitment and fulfilling on the studio's requirements initially, and then the Extra Life program allows us to get a slightly wider catchment. So you might not need full-on tactical shooter experience for an Extra Life playtest, you actually have a lot more flexibility here. So I would definitely keep my eyes open for the extra life stuff, which will come through. But, with 2 to 3 tests a week, very mindful as the community grows that we're probably not going to be able to support everybody based on their preferred genre in the short term. But the goal is to change that and actually to turn playtesting into more of a strategic, tactical decision for studios, not something that they feel they have to do just before they go live, which means that we're actually positioning ourselves that we will get multiple tests out of a studio because we're actually starting to break down some of those barriers that hopefully will engage people a little bit more, which will then increase the frequency and therefore the opportunities. So at this point in time, it's keep an eye on your email. You'll only receive emails from actual tests based on whether there's a match on the genre. But we are working hard to increase the volume.
Yeah. So again, short answer, there really isn't an expected time frame, but hopefully we'll see more in your inbox soon. Yeah, I still have to hit the 4 playtests myself as well. I've only done the 1. So I'm right there with you. Again, to emphasize it a million times, this is not something that you should be banking on, right? This is a fun thing that you can do on the side for a little bit extra money. Oh yeah, is there a minimum age limit for a playtest?
Yes.
Okay.
18.
Okay. So unfortunately, the professors, the teachers in chat who want to bring this to their minors are not able to do that yet.
Yeah, I mean, largely because we want to get to a point where we want to pay people. We are using PayPal as the delivery mechanic. Right. It's one of the sign-up questions. And we know PayPal has a much better, more robust age verification process than we can afford at the moment. Long term, we are looking at slightly younger audience, but if it was just New Zealand games that we were dealing with, it would be much easier to do. But when you look at all the rules around gaming for minors globally,
kids are scary.
It's a difficult challenge. And one we're willing to tackle, but it has to be slightly further down the line.
Yep. Good question. Are playtest results from level 1 and 2 testers purely for training purposes, or do the findings from those levels get transferred to your clients? I believe they do. Yeah.
They do. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Feedback is feedback. It's all good stuff. There's sort of 2 things going on at once in order to maximize the process.
And Nate, I know you're part of our studio program as well, so happy to answer more of your questions and talk to you a little bit more about it before our next event. If you want, just DM me. What's the policy on sharing game footage or participation as a playtester? Are the preferences something the studios would set?
Yeah, it's something we're talking with studios at the moment. There is interest on those sharing, but at the right time. So we're trying to develop a policy at the moment where studios can buy in. And then when they've sort of signed up, we can then share that with people that are participating. At this point in time, we respect the studio in terms of their data, their feedback, and we don't even announce that we're working with the studio until they've announced the game, and then we'll support their launch. So at this point in time, the information it can't be shared. We are working on that because we know that a lot of the people that we're starting to see in our community want to be able to stream and use that, and there may be an appropriateness to be able to facilitate that, but we got to get studio buy-in at the moment. So yes, definitely something we're working on.
Yeah, I signed an NDA for the playtest that I did. Pretty common, I think, to see that. Oh, this is a really good question. Thank you, Thunderbomb. So they are asking any recommendations for using this to get a foot in the door in the games industry. I'm a junior programmer. Most opportunities have been junior. So yes, I actually did want to talk about this because this is something that Jeremy and I talked about. It's more of plans for the future. And Jeremy, you're free to chime in at any point. I obviously, as a member of this community, understand that everyone here is most likely trying to get a foot in the door in the industry, and anything to help that is a huge bonus. And that is another reason why this partnership exists, because Playful feels the same. They want to, however they can, use or figure out a way to help you guys through Playful to kind of help you get your foot in the door. And so, obviously playtesting is different from QA. It is still similar. Again, you can... I would probably put this kind of stuff on my resume, especially if I've started doing a lot more. Obviously, it's up to the studio that you're applying to care about that. Obviously, we can't speak for them on whether or not they will think that is relevant. I personally think it is relevant. It shows that you are involved in the industry and actively playing games and trying to learn more about games. So I think it's good experience. However, at the same time, I also am a big advocate of proper crediting. And I know crediting is a really big deal in the industry, and playtesters are often not credited. And And so something that Jeremy and I talked about and a goal that we have for the future is ideally to figure out a way to help credit you guys as playtesters on the games that you playtest through Playful. This is a conversation, obviously, and Jeremy will say that they have to have with the studios and stuff, but it is a goal that we want to work together on. This Playful collaboration is obviously, what we are talking about today, the playtesting, the paid playtesting, and then the studio stuff. But it is also an ongoing relationship to help benefit the industry. We want to work together on educational resources, on stuff like this crediting in the future, right? So it goes beyond just what we were talking about today. We want this relationship to overall improve the industry and our community.
I think you're absolutely right. It's one where we're quite keen to progress, but it is one that we need to get buy-in from studios. Not all studios are in the same mindset as what we are. So again, we'll probably develop a framework that we can present to studios as we're going through those initial onboarding and whether they're open to things like that. Additionally, we recognise that any exposure to the industry is going to help new people get a foothold. Part of the portal that we're developing will be the ability for you guys to log in, and what we're planning is you will have your own profile and you'll be able to see all the games that you have actually play tested on. You should be able to have access to video, and we are even thinking that you'll be able to push a button and we'll produce a one-page Playful synopsis of all the games that you've actually participated on. So that may help as a supporting document to sort of any applications. It has to be seen as supporting rather than the be-all and end-all, because not all studios are sort of in that mindset yet. I definitely agree with Ayla that all of this information actually goes into showing a wealth of experience across the industry, which I think can only be seen as a good thing.
Obviously, you guys know that improving the industry and the experience in the industry for us juniors and other people like us who are trying to get in the industry is a huge deal for me. So I'm always looking for partners who want to go further and help us with making the industry a great place to be. And crediting is a big personal interest of mine that we haven't tackled a lot, but I do have plans to tackle it in the future. So happy to have Playful kind of along for the ride there and helping us there too. I feel like that's all of the questions. I think I got all of them. If I missed yours, please let me know. I will once again send the Cave Bear link through chat, but I also wanted to ask Raven if you are able to, if you want to, share the Discord link.
I'll share that as
They do have a Discord.
But yeah, once you do complete your profile, part of the thank you email, you should be able to get a link for the Discord.
So their Discord will be a great place to ask more questions. Again, if you want to ask questions here, the best place to do that would be in the public server help chat, which I just linked in this chat. Ask us questions. I'll kind of just be monitoring that channel today. If you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them, or happy to get Jeremy and Raven in there to answer them for you. Otherwise, join the Discord and ask them there. But yeah, this is we are little partners, little collaborators here now. So anything we can do to help you guys out, happy to do so. Thank you everyone for coming. Yay, I'm so glad you guys liked it. Oh my gosh, before I forget, please don't leave. Oh my gosh, I did forget something. We have a post-event survey. This is the first of the kind for us. We are trying to do more of these post-event surveys in the future, but we have one now. And I just put it in chat. Please take a second and do that event survey. Just click on it now. Just do it right now. Yeah, it's super short, I promise. We just want to hear more about your thoughts. Obviously, Playful will be interested in your thoughts, but I am also interested in your thoughts. I want to know if this is the type of partnership that you guys are interested in. I want to know what you thought of it. I want to know if it worked, stuff like that. Like, obviously, we want more community input in the future with stuff that we do and collaborations that we do and partnerships that we do. So please do that. I'll go for level 4 if there's a Discord badge involved. That's a good idea.
Okay, Raven, I need a Discord badge.
Yeah, I'll just need your credit card for all the nitros.
That's true. It's true. Oh, nitro. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Again, public server help if you want to ask questions in this server, but also just feel free to join the Playful server, ask more questions, DM me, whatever you want to do. Please do, again, that post-event survey. Please do it right now. Please click it. Please have it open. Please click it and do it. Super appreciate you guys. Yeah. I hope you guys liked it. I hope we can bring more kind of opportunities for you like this in the future. And if you're a studio, keep an eye out for an email from me very soon. A lot more exciting things are happening. This is not all that is happening with Playful. We have a lot more exciting things happening for the studio specifically. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for inviting us. This is great.
Yay. I'm so excited. I'm excited for my next playtest. I want to do another one. I had a lot of fun.